We welcome Ghufran Salih to the studio. Your term is coming to an end on Monday. What's one thing you're most proud of your time as SA president?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot that I've been proud of. I think that one of the biggest things is how we tried to make SA a lot more accessible to students, and I think that we really did try and achieve that by making our Instagram a lot more interactive and engaging students really in important conversations. So we have an Instagram question that we put up every week, what have you heard? What's going on campus, or what are you concerned about? And we really try to be as open as possible with students. And I have students approach me on the promenade, in line at Shine, when I'm walking home on Euclid, and that's something that I don't know if anyone ever could do that to their SA president, vice president, make them so accessible that they're able to just talk to them. And then when they talk to me, things like we put a bathroom in the basement of Cross College happened. And that wouldn't have happened if a student didn't stop me and talk to me about the fact that their school didn't have an accessible, gender-neutral bathroom.
What are some of the other things you said that students come up to you and say? What are they typically saying?
Shrine renovations was a big one. When student feedback was given, not student input, that was a really big one where students were like, "Oh, these renderings are really cool. If we're giving feedback, does that mean it might change?" And the truth of the matter was that they probably weren't going to change a lot of things if we didn't just tell them, hey, students want input on wayfinding, they want input on how their resource centers are placed, they want input on how their spaces are being used. And so that's something that was mentioned. Another thing was just talking about programming in general on campus. A big concern was the university lecture series. It featured, while very exciting and prominent figures in the world, they're white people, old white people, and students didn't feel like they were being represented in the series that was supposed to really be targeting all students. So that's something that we brought up, and hopefully we'll be able to put a student on the selection committee for the university lectures. And bathrooms are another thing that students talk about all the time, the concern with renovations happening in the Dome. I know that the Dome is going to be closed for the class of 2020's graduation, which that's my class, I don't know what we're gonna. But we're continuing having those conversations with the important administrators that we need to, but then we're also bringing in student voices, which is really important. So that's just a couple of the things. I know there are some smaller things, a student mentioned to me the fact that on your Superfood or your Supercard Plus, the minimum that you're supposed to put on to your Supercard Plus is $20, and it's pretty steep for a college student who sometimes doesn't have that much money in their account. And so we talked to Jamie Sear, and Jamie Sear actually had us lower that a little bit. So it's now $10 minimum. And then students brought up the fact that the university took down one of the banners on Shine that had something to do with the Pride Month because of an admissions event. And so when we brought that up, that was rectified. And these banners won't be taken down willy-nilly for admissions. And now we have actually 2 spots for banners, which is really awesome.
So Mackenzie is taking over on Monday, very hotly contested election, 21 votes. She was your chief of staff this year.
Yep.
What does she bring to SA for next year?
She brings the experience that is needed in a position like this. I know that me and Kyle came into this not being in an SA, and it was a huge learning curve, but Mackenzie was a assembly representative and then was a cabinet member, and she ended up being our chief of staff, which is one of the most vital positions. She basically oversaw the entire cabinet and helped them with their initiatives, and I think that's invaluable experience that will be able to help her move forward because she's seen us through the good, the bad, and the ugly. She knows, where the high points are, what worked and what didn't work in terms of just internal accountability and just productivity, or even externally dealing with administration or dealing with our outside initiatives and events. So I think that she'll bring that really valuable experience, and then Samia will be able to bring that outside perspective of she's an incoming junior. So she's going to have that experience that Mackenzie may not have had outside of SA.
Ghufran Salih, outgoing president of the Student Association, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.